Hey! I don't know what that was. Well, yeah, I do. It was an intro. It's called an introduction. Don't you love introductions to videos? Video introductions. Sorry, Biggie Z. Oh, I'm such a fan of your videos, Ewan. I liked when you did. Yeah, shut up. No, he mentioned he liked my old the C word intro to my videos, which I appreciate. I quite liked those, but the issue is, it's sort of something I've spoken about 100,000 times before, about how, and it's more and more these days. I'll go to watch a YouTube video, and it's just introductions, just so many gosh darned introductions, and I hate them. I hate all of them. And every video, it could be the simplest video about just like, hey, here's an update on a thing that happened today, and then the first 10 minutes of the video, not always that much, but sometimes just minutes of the videos, it's just introduction, it's preamble, it's and here's a word from our sponsors, and then an ad, and then talking about merchandise, and subscribe to my Patreon, and then just some stuff, life updates while I get into the video, and a bunch of just talk about the thing that you said the video's about. And I understand there's video length, and there's certain analytics you've got to adhere to if you do it full time. You've got to keep your money coming in, so you've got to. I get all that, but I'd argue that the creative aspect should be paramount. Actually making the thing should be what you're focusing on, and everything else should come secondary to that. But that's just my humble spumble opinion, and what do I know? I don't make money from my videos, so I my opinion is invalid, which is always a funny thing that people were called invalids, which is not a nice thing to call a person any time of day, whatever, but that word is literally invalid. You are calling a person invalid. You are literally not a valid person. F off, you bumhole, you invalid bumhole. You drool on yourself in public, and it's weird, and because of that you're not a valid person by our definition of what is and isn't valid. My point being, I cannot stand video introduction. I just want the video to start, whatever it is. I skip ahead and skip ahead and skip ahead, and then you end up skipping ahead a little bit too far, and then they're halfway through talking about what the video's about, so you've got to skip back a bit. It's so frustrating. Why can't everything in life be exactly the way I want it to be for me, to make my life slightly easier? But in general, given the time and energy, I try to make art that is art I want to look at. It's art that I would like to see exist, and I try to make it. And somewhat similarly with any videos I do, I try to make the sorts of videos I would like to sit and watch. And I realised if I'm watching a podcast, I want to press play and have it start, and that is just straight away they start talking about what the thing's about, and that's it. No waffle, no silly introduction. You're watching the Cupcake Hour. Like, it's just so hecking silly, and I dislike it. So that's why I've just done away with introductions, because that's what I want to see. Is I press play and the video starts, and that's it. And then at the end of the video ends. Maybe at the end, sure, throw in a Patreon this and that, and I've always thought it silly that, like, hey, I'll put my patrons Patreon subscribers' names at the end of my video. I've thought about doing that, but are people really into? I thought if I was going to do that, I'd have it on video. I'd write them all out and say them out loud, rather than just have the text going up the screen with all of the patrons' names that no one's going to sit and read. They're on the screen, sure, but like, to what end? You know, if I was going to do that, I'd get a list of my patrons' names, and I'd on screen write them out, and I'd go, thank you this person, thank you that person, Poo Lord, Mr. Magnus, AIDS Captain, whoever they are. I'd say thank you to them on the video, rather than just have a list of names go up the screen and go, thank you to my patrons, here's all of their names on the screen. I guess. Like, cool, but you know. You might notice, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, let's not be silly, that we're not swearing at the moment. That's because I had a complaint. Well, not really a complaint. I don't know. Just so I'm aware that sometimes people watch my videos on their like big home screen or whatever, or at least they watch them in a place where other people can overhear, or even with other people. Some people watch them not alone, which is odd to me because I make these videos very much insularly, very, on my own, quietly in the dark, drawing my little pictures. And I imagine and assume, obviously somewhat wrongly, but I assume that's how people watch them, on their own in the dark, drawing their pictures with me on off to the side or the background. And that's, you know, it's like, it makes sense, you know. But obviously there are people who watch them more, I don't know, socially, if that's not necessarily the right word, but you know, with people around. So someone said, Ewan, can you do a video just once that I can watch and not have to mute? I assume that's because of language and such, and you I guess you're watching in a place where people can overhear, because otherwise if that's not the case, then I have to assume it's because you just don't like the sound of me or what I'm saying. But then I've got to think, like, is it really my videos you should be watching if you're not into me or the sound of my voice or the singing? And maybe you don't like my singing. So I can only assume it's because of the swearing and the language, because you're watching it in a place where people can overhear. And that's so strange to me that you're watching it so publicly. Because it's just not what I envision when I put this stuff out. But that's cool, and I'm happy for that to be the case. But for one thing, I did do a whole video of not swearing, you know. Look it up. I think it has the no swearing episode in the title. It might have a picture of Homer Simpson in the thumbnail. I think it says that in the thumbnail, not in the title. It's a few episodes back. Look for it, I guess, if you care that much. But so, you know, I did do almost. I made it. I did one accidental swear, but I got punished on camera for that with a crowbar, nonetheless. So that was fun and games, weren't it? But I thought what I'd do today is I'd let the fates decide how vile and disgusting an episode this is. Something I've been doing a lot lately is using the flip of a coin to decide things for me, because I'm becoming broken. See, everyone envisions themselves, or not everyone, just the cool kids, envision themselves as becoming like the Joker, an agent of chaos, and do you want to know how I got these scars? No, not really. I don't ask about people's scars. It's weird to, you know, bring that up. But I am inadvertently becoming like Two-Face, I guess. That's something. No one really envisions themselves becoming the guy who flips a coin. He walks around flipping a coin, and it's like he doesn't even notice. And people say, "What's with the coin?" And he goes, "What, this? Oh, I hardly even notice anymore. I just have a coin. It's just sort of my thing. You know, it's just sort of something I do. Just cool and quirky like that." But So I noticed it started when I was coming back home from London. I was at the train station and I was just going to get myself a drink. And I couldn't decide between Pepsi or Dr. Pepper. Why not water, Ewan? Why don't you drink bloody water? Why is it always something sweet? Why are all your beverages of the week something sweet and sugary and delicious? I have this is next to my desk. I like water. It's a bit boring. It doesn't taste of anything. And, you know, given the choice, I'd like to have something sweet and nice, like a Dr. Pepper or a Pepsi or something, or like one of those, or like a Rubicon sparkling mango made with real fruit juice. Wouldn't that be lovely and tasty? But when you know you've been walking around a lot in the day, you've travelled, you've been on trains and things, and you've been to therapy. You've had a therapy session that day. You've cried a little bit, talking about your family trauma and such. And you're on your way back. Maybe you just want a little treat, just a little sweet, tasty, sugary treat. So I realise I'm the one who was complaining about my not drinking water. So I was going to say, so don't complain about me not drinking. But that was me. But I was there, and I could not, for the life of me, I was there for minutes, just couldn't decide if I wanted to get a Pepsi or a Dr. Pepper. I was blown away by myself, by how, you know, lacking in the ability to make this decision I was. I just could not decide what I want. So I flipped a coin. I said heads, Pepsi, tails, Dr. Pepper. I think it was Dr. Pepper at that time. Because I just couldn't. It was one of two options. It's all it was. And my dumb idiot brain went, whatever, they're both good, get whatever. That doesn't help! Get whatever doesn't help me! I need a decision here. My train's in 5 minutes, I've got to get a drink and go! So I flipped a coin and I got the thing. And I've been using that more often lately. I've been using that playing Skyrim. I downloaded a mod that is quite a fun one actually. It randomizes all the doors. So every time you go through a door, that would go into a loaded area somewhere else. It takes you to a completely random location through another door. So you can walk into someone's house and end up in a cave in Solstheim or something. And you can end up in like end game situations where like you would normally fight a final boss, or you can start quests like 2/3 of the way through because you end up in one of the last locations randomly. So it's really fun, and it's really cool for like dungeon crawling, which is just a fun thing to do. Because there's been times where I've been sent to randomly sent to like a Draugr, infested Nordic ruin, and then gone through a door in there, and then been sent to a completely separate Nordic ruin, and then gone through a door and been sent to a Dwemer ruin, one of the Dwarven ruins, and then a cave, and then somewhere else. But then sometimes you get sent to like a person's house, and you've got to. There's one room. There's no other doors in there, so you've got to go back the way you came. And all the doors are randomised, but then they hold their positions. So if you go back through a door you just came through, you'll go back to the area you just came from. It won't then be random again. So you could theoretically map out which doors lead where, and you can go back to certain areas if you know where you're going. So you can potentially actually do quests and stuff like that, but it's just going to be a bit difficult. I've not really spent a lot of time playing it, like to the extent that I'm going to be doing quests and things. But like I say, it's a fun little added mechanic. I quite enjoy it. I saw it on a stream. The guy who, or at least one of the guys who implemented it, who had it made, was using it on stream, and I thought it was really cool. And it's available on Xbox, so I got it. Point is, I came to a point where there was 2 doors I could go through, and of course, could not decide which door to take. I just didn't know which dang door to go through. It's the dumbest thing to have an issue with, but it is what it is. So I flipped a coin and it gave me a result. I said heads this door, tails that door. and I did whatever the coin said. The coin tells me what to do. So, for the remainder of today's episode, and this is if the person, if you're watching, if you're the person who said, do an episode, I don't have to mute. If you are watching this episode, I believe you will find this fair. I mean, I could just do a clean episode and that would be that. And why not, Ewan? Why not do that? Because it's how I express myself. I've spoken about it before. I won't get into it. But I believe if you're watching, you will hopefully find this fair. I'm going to take this £2 coin, which is a British thing. Remember coins? Remember when we used to use those? I'm going to flip it. I'm going to say heads. It's the rest of the episode is dirty and foul language, and so maybe you want to turn off or keep it on mute from here on out. Tails, I'll keep it as clean as I possibly can. I'll hold back on certain subject matters. I'll hold back on the bad language, and I will try to make it a nice, friendly, non-having to mutable episode. So heads, dirty, tails, clean, which should be the other way around, because I guess tails is near the bum hole, and that's where the poo comes out. So that should be the dirty one. Heads dirty, tails clean. Heads dirty. Out of my hands. The fate's decided. I'm sorry, you cunt, but you fucking... Fuck you. I'll just do a clean episode. Do one I don't have to mute all the time. Ewan, you fuckstick. Fuck! I'm sorry. I am sorry. I let the fates... See, I wasn't even going to do that. So that is me being fair, because my initial reaction was fuck you! Just fucking... If you're watching my videos with all the bad language, and you're going to fucking enjoy it! But, you know, I didn't do that. I thought it was very, very fair of me to at least implement the option of possibly being clean and nice and friendly. But instead, I'm going to talk about standing on babies. Do-do-do-do. Hey, look, it's Kenny. Kenny's dead. Dead Kenny. The dead Kennedys. I like them. Remember South Park? That was a thing. Hey, today we're drawing with orange. In case that wasn't abundantly clear already. I think it's quite obvious, isn't it? Can you see what it all is? I should think so. The thing, the Charmander. Blinky, the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons, he's orange. Kenny. And I was a little bit like, I think I said in the last batch of colour videos that I was sort of not wanting to do characters that are orange or whatever colour they are because they happen to be wearing that colour clothing. Like, if you Google, for instance, orange characters, there's a bunch of orange characters. Garfield, Tony the Tiger, other cat characters that are orange. A whole bunch of them. But there's also a bunch of characters that are just, you know, they're people or they're other colour characters, but they happen to be wearing, like, an orange shirt. Which, to me, is just a bit silly. That's not... Like, I mean, Velma, you know, from Scooby-Doo. You know, the one who has that really cool new show. That's a bit like, it's kind of orange. Her outfit is very orange. She's not an orange character, is she? And then you can make that argument about Kenny. He's not really an orange character. But I think being that, you know, this bit is not orange. And even then, you know, if you use a fairly orange skin colour, then it looks kind of orange. But I think he's orange enough. Kenny's orange enough that I can orange the orange with all of the orange. And it's all very orangey good. Yeah. Let's see what happens if I do this. Is this going to fuck it up entirely? Because it's a very pink-orange Posca that I used for this thing. I should get some more Poscas. I am waiting on a delivery. They said they were going to send me some stuff because I made that video during the Tiger Wrestling He-Man, and then Posca did go into my DMs and they said, "We like your video. We'd love to repost it. Can you send us the original video so we can repost it?" Which I did, and they've not yet reposted it. So I'm still waiting to see if they actually will do that. And I've even, fucking piss shit balls ass dicks. I've been keeping my my Instagram feed clean and family friendly for the most part lately, because I'm waiting for Posca to post my video on their page, because they might send a bunch of people to me and they might want to see a clean family friendly page rather than all the filth and garbage I normally post. So I've been trying to keep it clean and tame for the most part, and so far Posca haven't posted anything of mine, so I feel cheated. Not really, but yeah, they said they'd send me some stuff. Not like they specifically said. I did put this in my Instagram stories if you happen to be there and have seen it. They did say in the DMs, "We can't send you 500 pink pens, but we'll send you some stuff." Because I said in the caption of that video when I posted it that I was trying to get their attention. So if they could give me some money or whatever, that would be cool. Or at least send me 500 pink Posca pens, because I'd love just loads of pink pens just to draw all the pink things, because apparently I really like pink. But they said no. They said they wouldn't. Well, they actually said we can't, which I don't believe. They said we can't send you 500. You can. You absolutely can send me 500 Posca pens. You just won't. Let's be crystal pissing clear. You just won't. You can, you could, you absolutely have the capabilities and the possibilities to send me 500 pink Posca pens. You just bloody won't. And that's a shit. Ooh, let's look at the same books we've already looked at. Because in these lean economic times, sadly I can't afford to buy new art books all the time. It would be lovely if I could. If more people subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/ewan. It's literally only $1 a month. You can sign up for a single $1 a month. And if you're in England, that's less than £1 a month. And it all helps. It all adds up. My initial dream was that, I started that when I still do have, I guess, tens of thousands, but I had tens of thousands of Instagram followers. I thought if even a percent, I have tens of thousands, if 1,000 people subscribe for $1 a month, that's my entire monthly wage taken care of. That's enough money to live off. And that doesn't even include doing commissions and selling books and stuff. So that was the dream, was to at least have my rent paid. Sadly, it's not gone that way, but I'm not mad about it. It just is. I wasn't here to talk. I hate introductions. I hate preambles. I like it when people just get into what they're talking about. So why don't you fucking do that, you fucking cunt? I'm looking at 2 books today. Just because 2 books I've already looked at before. One of them is this one, but because I was looking at this when I was on the train and I had my therapy and I cried about my family. Because I noticed there's this one particular strip, and it's one of those wordless strips, a silent... all comic books are silent, technically. They're about as loud as a piece of paper, you could argue. Oh, excuse me. All cats are grey. That doesn't really work. It's black and white. It's quite a different. But it's a short silent comic, I realise, which is really cool, and it's quite a neat one. It's not the sort of content I typically consume in terms of story and such, but it's good. The art's cool. We start on a cityscape. There's Catwoman, obviously, in her catsuit running through the street, pipes and things, and it's very snowy. You can see straight away, you can see snow. And there she is in her cat suit with a black cat on her shoulder with a big diamond. She's obviously stolen a big diamond. She's running away. But then, oh no, it's fucking Batman. Batman. Oh no, it's Batman. The chase is on. Batman's chasing Catwoman. The cat's pissing off too. She's hiding. Oh, what? She found you. No, he found her, not the other way around. Ah, he got the diamond and he grabbed her. And ooh, the tension there. Ooh. I like how bold and graphic it is. Backgrounds where they're sort of somewhat necessary and not where they're not. Because it's about them. It's not about the scenery. It's about them, the characters. And then you got the cats, the angry cats. This white cat's shown up out of fucking wherever. And then all the black cat's got it over the white cat. And she's got it over him. Does she take the diamond or just push him away? She pushes him away. He's still got the diamond, but she's fucking off. She's climbing up a building. She's sat there moping a little bit mad, a bit sad, a bit annoyed. And then she goes, oh, hey, there's that white cat. The black cat's not happy about it. His fur's standing up. But, hey, there's a white cat. Let's hang out. The white cat fucks off and hides in the snow, and you can only see its little face in amongst the snow. And she's like, hey, wait a minute. There should be a light bulb here to show that she's had an idea. Cloth, sewing, stitching, needle and thread. This cat's like, what the fuck are you doing? She's got a new white cat suit. That's exciting. And then the white city, it's snowing. That's a really cool, like, white silhouette of the city. I love the this is a really good example of use of black and white, but not just black and white, but black versus white. Lots of contrast. And that's the whole point of this particular story, is contrast between black and white. It's very artistically, I mean, that's the point. So yeah, this white space here with the cat, and then the cat's little eyes, ears, nose and claws, little details that just sort of, I like it. That's really good. So then she's back running through the snow. She's got another diamond. There's just all these big diamonds being stolen. It might be a diamond, it might be some other kind of gem. Batman's chasing her down. She's running away round the corner, and then this is quite cool. Eyes, lips, and ears, just like this. So just it's a mirror sort of thing. And her claws, the cat's claws. So it's sort of giving you a hint of, like, when you see these shapes in the next panel, this is what they are. She's blending in her white costume, white as snow. She's hiding in the snow. Batman doesn't know where the fuck to go. And then she sees him. She pounces. And she's on top of him. She's got him. She's won. She's taken the victory. And you realise Batman's smiling a little. This little crease here, he's smiling a little bit. He's like, hey, girl got me. You fucking... And I think they're going to bang. I think that's the... see, she's enjoying it. He's enjoying it. Black and white contrast. Two sides of the coin. Yeah, it's very... I like that. I really like it. It's, like I say... In terms of story and the comic itself, it's not the typical sort of thing I consume. But hey, last week I looked at two comics I absolutely wouldn't really have given a second look to normally. But Riddle-dee-diddle, cover me in piddle. But I really like it. The art is like, it's good art. It's very bold, graphic comic book art. Typically not to my taste, but I do appreciate it. And the use of black and white is very, very clever. Very strong. And the fact that it's a silent comic. I'm a big fan of the wordless comics, because that's comics at their most basic whatever, isn't it? It's storytelling through pictures. Having words can help here and there, but ultimately, hey, get the fucking pictures done, and then the rest of it can go. Now, the other book I'm going to look at, I know one particular person will be happy about it. I figure, yeah, that at least relates, because it's Batman. So we're going to just look through Judgment on Gotham again and just go, oh, look at all the paintings. Oh, aren't they cool? See if we can notice anything that we didn't notice before. I don't know. There's just, you know who you are. The one guy who's been like, I wish you'd look at Judgment on Gotham again. I could watch you look at Judgment on Gotham all the time. And then I look at something else and he goes, oh, well, it's not Judgment on Gotham, but hey, it's quite cool. But maybe you should look at Judgment on Gotham again, Ewan. Maybe you should spend more time looking at Judgment on Gotham, Ewan. So, here's more Judgment on Gotham for everyone else, for literally every other person. Sorry, but it is good though, isn't it? I mean, come on. And I guess it would be easier to mention it here than it would be while I'm drawing orange characters. But this now exists. It's only the first bloody page of Death Fist, the official page 1 of the Death Fist comic. A queue of people queuing up a poncho. I wonder who that could be. This guy looks like he's sucking off a hot dog, which he probably is. The hot dog man. He makes hot dogs as fast as he can. He makes them hot and he makes them cold. Well, he doesn't make them cold because that would be weird. Look, a little cat. A cat. See, it relates. There's cats going on and there's a little cat licking his little paw. Dead bird. He probably killed it or found it or whatever. I don't know why. Oh, no, I do know why. I was trying to think, and I was Google imaging like hot dog carts to try to get a peek at what they actually look like on the inside, because I realised that's one of those things when you draw comics, you go, I'm going to draw a hot dog cart, and then you go, fuck, what does a fucking hot dog cart look like? You go box, sure, it says hot dogs on the side, mustard, ketchup, and a hole that you pull the hot dogs out of. You need somewhere to put the buns. I think there's like a cupboard here that you get the buns out of through access through the side of it, through the back. But then I was like, is there like boiling pots or like a grill? Or I've not paid enough attention or seen enough. I'm sure I could probably Google how do hot dog carts work and it would come up. But in lieu of that, I figured it's just this one panel that I need it for. So there's no point really putting in hours of research to get this 2-inch square of paper. So I put a little man in there who pushes the hot dogs up. There's a little man giving the hot dogs to the big hot dog man. And that's how the hot dogs work. Praise Jesus, it's holy hot dogs. See, because it's based on the guy who was nearby who played Christian music from his stereo, who looks like this. I posted this on my Instagram, and a guy I went to university with in this city where he was noticed, and he went, hey, that's the guy who was outside the shopping centre. He knew exactly who it was based on, which goes to show I'm brilliant because I can put that out there so clearly that anyone who knows who the guy is knows exactly who the guy is. And continue. Hey, they're all happy with their hot dogs, and then this guy in the poncho, he's there, and then he goes, oh, one please, and the guy's like, hey, thumbs up, and he's even declaring, thumbs up, dogs. It looks like a penis coming out of like it could be his erect penis. It's unnecessary, really, but I did the technique I was expressing before. One picture in the middle, other pictures around, panels on top and bottom, and then one big panel. I think that sort of works, and I think I can make it work. I think this works. Does this work? If you're looking at that, does that work? You can tell what's going on. It's not too much here and there. I think it works. And I've got a bit of paper with boxes all over it that I've drawn with very, very, very basic descriptions in each box of what's going to be on each page. And I've crossed off the first page because I've got it done. So I'm very happy to have that. That's the first step on the journey of the Death Fist comic. I did, however, have to redo this panel because this was the original, and I realised, which I brought up, I mentioned it in a previous video, of how I think in the rough version I drew his right hand putting one finger up, but his right hand is supposed to be the big massive fist, so it has to be his left hand. And then I drew the page and I drew it with his right hand, and then realised just before I was about to scan it in, so I had to change it to be his left hand. So that's cool. But I bring that up because it's worth me looking through comic books I like for ideas I can steal. And this, I love it so much. I love the pose, and I love the textures, and the line work used, and the mix of the black and the colour. And the little tummy. I love that he doesn't have a six-pack. I love he's got a little tummy. I love a good little tummy. Ugh! His little like puckered arse face mouth is quite funny there. All the little tiny little lines for texture in his face. I love this. This pose is really fucking cool. Where he's just slammed his head into the ground and he's sliding, I don't know, like crushing through the ground with such force. He's propelled forwards. And his feet just up in the air with his head deep into the concrete. And then off the end of the building. Bastard, you moved. Pew. But Batman, being Batman, he saves the guy's life. That's a really cool pose as well. Poses are so difficult to come up with. Which I was going to say I should fill a few pages of my sketchbook with just little drawings of bodies posed. Not characters necessarily, just bodies in different positions. And of course I should do that. That's what so many artists do. It's called practice. You practice drawing poses. You draw hundreds and hundreds of little poses just to, generate ideas and get yourself used to drawing these shapes. And that's exactly what I should be doing. But probably I won't. Because, I've got to do commissions and pay rent. I do have this... I guess, yeah. I wasn't gonna show it, but he did say he likes seeing process things in my podcasts of commissions and stuff. So this is the rough version. So a little fold out bit. I like the fold out bits of a commission I'm working on. I've got the final drawn up and underpainted. I just need to paint the thing now. It's Kurt Russell in The Thing with a thing behind him. Ooh. So that's going to be a really, really fun painting to do. I'll probably do that a bit later today, maybe. So yeah, I'm doing commissions, and I'm feeling painting. There was a while, the last few months or so, where I've really not been into painting. I just can't generate the motivation, I guess, to get it done. But I'm feeling painting at the moment. I've done a few good ones. I did that. This one I was really happy with. Bigger than I intended to, because I drew the thing on an A4 page, the rooster on an A4 page, and then tried to fit in other details and realised drawn it too big. I couldn't be bothered to redraw it smaller because I'd already drawn it, so I just transferred it to a bigger sheet of paper. But I'm really, really happy with this painting. I think it came out really nicely. See, it's like a realistic chicken. Nuke Rooster, look up Jevin Loop artwork, or just look at my Instagram, it's on there. You've probably all seen it already. But yes, I love his character. I meant to draw him some time ago anyway, just because I like the look of the character. It's just muscle man with a chicken head. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But I thought it'd be really funny if I drew like a realistic rooster head, or painted a realistic rooster head and then give him the cartoony muscly body. And it came out good. It works. I'm happy with that. Weird. That's literally what I got called in school and college, more than Ewan or any version of my name, was weird, weirdo, you're weird, stop being weird, Ewan, you're so weird. Why are you so weird? And then, not always, but sometimes that would be followed up with, no, not in a bad way, which I understand, but it's still not nice to just call someone weird. Stop eating paint then, Ewan! It's fucking weird! This is exactly how I draw material. Where's a piece of paper? If this is the guy's head, he's wearing a hat. Eye, nose, mouth. And then this is his shoulder coming up. And this is like, shoulder going into the shoulder blade. And the ribs, tit, nipple, tummy. See, I can do anatomy. And then this is his arm, his upper arm, his forearm, and then his hand, spray can. That's how spray cans work. Just perfect. Like, I didn't steal it from here. I gradually developed my way of drawing material over time, and it's still developing, and it's not perfect, but I am working on it. But it's sort of again, in trying to create art I want to look at, it's sort of how I want material to look, especially in these sort of circumstances, is just, and it makes sense. It's somewhat believable if you do it in a certain way, of just the creases all sort of kind of emanating from here and here, these points of articulation. It's a really, I'm not doing it clearly at all, but you get the idea. And it comes here, so you get the shadow on the arm. It's just, I find it to be a very effective sort of way of drawing creases in clothes like that. And when it's painted, and painted well by a master of his craft, a la Simon Bisley, it's really quite good. I like the blues in here. You can see the blue underpainting is really nice. I've got a purple underpainting in... That sounds like a euphemism, doesn't it? Oh, go on, love, I'll give you some of my purple underpainting. Ooh, I mean my cock. Put it in your mouth, love. That's it, yes. The Thing commission has purple as the underpainting. It's going to be purpley blue, but with some other stuff going on. I won't spoil it too much, Steph, if you're watching, which I know you are. You fucking better be, you cunt. Although by the time this goes out, I might have even finished the painting, so it may be that you see the finished piece before you see me talking about its creation. And if that is the case, then so be it. On the next page of Death Fist, the main focus of the next page is going to be sort of a bust of Death Fist, of like his face, mostly in shadow. You'll see his teeth as he's eating a hot dog. That's going to be the main, his hand. It might be facing the other way because it's his left hand. I want to come up here. But yeah, that's going to be the main thing. And then a few panels here, panels here. The main thing is going to be that. And then some words will have to be put in to be like, I think on page 1 I am going to have an insert panel saying like, I hide in plain sight or something. And then a bunch of other words. And then the next page is going to be a full body, like, you know, poncho blowing in the wind, hood, and more of his face visible, and a fist here, and just looking cool, like a full body reveal, something like this, yeah. And it'll be like, and that's why they call me, or not why, but they call me Death Fist. And then the next page will be like a montage page of his fist in action. Maybe I'll have his actual fist visible here. Or about here. A little bit. I'll make it work. And then, yeah, other panels. And then, yeah, this will be a montage of why he's called Death Fist. Because he's like Death, you know, that guy, but with a big fist. So they call him Death Fist. It's very, you know, it's genius in a way. That hand's really good. I mean, it's a good shape of hand. But it's also painted really well. Painting tendons and shit in hands is difficult. To make skin look like it's doing this, I mean, it's easy in some respects because you can use tricks to like do it, but if you're really going to take your time and make it work properly, it can be difficult. I like these bits where it's just like blue with just a little bit of face painted in there and some ink and stuff. That's quite effective. I love these blurry phasing in and out of reality bits. Blues. I like these parts where it's underpainting. I probably mentioned this before. Underpainting, and then you use the background paint to create details in the foreground image. I like those moments. Those are cool. It's just pointing. I like the chicken. Ah! That's really funny as well. I know I mentioned them before, but I'm looking at it again just because The guy said, "Look at it some more." I think the first chunk of it is I'm not too keen when they get to the rock show and then it's the band and the stuff, and you know it's sort of kind of eh. There are some good moments, like when Mean Machine head bashes his way through the entirety of the stage. This blue page is really nice. The black and white, like grayscale bits on top of the blue underpainting, the light shining through. The Batman and Robin, obviously it's not, but it's like the typical Batman and Robin running toward the camera kind of scene. But it's Batman and Judge Anderson. The swing's really good. That's a great reveal page.
Show's over, Scarecrow. I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Me and Sam used to joke and be like, because he sounds kind of like Rorschach from Watchmen.
Rorschach's journal. I'm not wearing hockey pads.
See, it's like they're one and the same.
And I'll look down and whisper, I'm Batman.
I've stolen this pose about 4 or 5 times for various things, mostly Gun Viking, but other things too. It's just... I want to know if someone owns this, if they've got this hanging on their wall, the original artwork of that, because that's a killer. Just the Judge Dredd painting, knowing it's part of a Judge Dredd Batman crossover comic is one thing, but just as a standalone Judge Dredd painting, it's pretty fucking good, isn't it? That's pretty neat. A neat little panel. You can see there's almost no paint compared to other panels. It's just a flat blue, like one layer of blue, one layer of yellow for the gold bits and green, and then underpainting for like 2/3 of it, or maybe about half, and then a few bits of brown just to pull out bits of the wood, some nails. Such minimal paint. But it's effective because it's a small panel, so you put in the amount of effort necessary for a small panel like that. And I think that works best, rather than having a whole comic done quickly can look good. Ashley Wood is a good example of that, where almost all the artwork is like scratchy and scribbly, but like has form and substance to it. It's drawn well. That's the point. It's drawn really well, but the style is a very quick style. It has a lot of energy to it, a very frenetic style. And there's something to be said for comics that are all like that. But I think especially if it's like a hand-painted comic, if every page and every panel is so painstakingly detailed, it can sort of look it can be too easy to just gloss over it. Jim Murray, I think, maybe is almost an example of that, where I feel like even in smaller panels, he still puts in just as much effort and energy as he does in bigger panels. Not that they're bad, but I think my personal preference is that there's a mix. So you get panels like this, which are like obviously quickly drawn, quickly painted, minimal sort of effort, but then it matches up very nicely with this, with more rendered textures and flesh bits. It's good to have a mix. I think that gives it a lot more energy than just being, whatever. Who cares? It's Judgment on Gotham, isn't it cool? I can see the problem is I can look at it again and again and again for hours and hours, and I could just sit here for hours looking at it all the time. That's a difficult pose to do, from above, slightly behind, the 3/4 top down. It's cool. But I can't necessarily produce enough words to talk about it for hours and hours and hours. So I probably won't look at it too much more to the one of you that was so eager to see me look at it again. But for today, have a gimme. There's some good things worth looking at. And I'm building that single page Judge Dredd story in my head for the 2000 AD competition thingy. So I am still sort of like trying to gather Dredd poses and ideas and things for that. So it is good for me to look at. And that's the point. Me. As long as it's good for fucking me. Well, Zowity Zounds. I hadn't intended to spend quite as long looking at those books. But I guess that's what happens when you babble on about your own projects for so long when you should be looking at other people's work. Oh, talk about yourself some more, Ewan. Go on. I mean, it's my podcast, so that's sort of the point, isn't it? It's mine. It's me. I talk about me, what I want to do. You cunts, you fucking... Oh, shit, piss, fart dicks. I feel like I have to be extra vile now because of the coin toss said so. I really don't, but... Well, that's not a great looking... hand, is it? Yes, I mean, the obvious... Like, I try to spend about 20 minutes per section. So when I look after... When I've done a section and I go look at my phone to press stop recording, because that's sort of how I do it. I have it in 3 separate videos and then I put them together. And then I see it's like 27 minutes. I get a bit like, oh, God, that's almost an entire 10 minutes extra. So that makes me feel like I've got to rush. But there's no reason, because the video can be an hour and a half if I want it to. I don't know. That's one thing I've not heard mentioned. I've seen people say they'd love to see 2 episodes a week, or they want it to me to talk about this or talk about that or do this or do that or do something this way or that way. I've not really seen anyone mention the length of the podcast in a positive or negative way, which I guess is good. I assume people are just okay with how long it is. Is there anything? Is that a thing? Are people okay with the length of it? Do you wish it was longer? Do you wish it was shorter? Do you wish it was older? Do you wish it was younger? Do you wish it was smaller? Do you wish it was wiser? Do you wish it was more feminine? Do you wish it was more dedicated to bird watching and aviary? I don't know. What do you want to see? I probably won't abide by anything you say, but it's good to know. I think it's sort of about an hour and a few minutes either side, here and there, depending on what I'm talking about. I think that's a pretty sort of fair average, isn't it? An hour. It can get to be too much, but then that said, like, I'll watch videos that are hours and hours long if they're about something I'm interested in. Like when I talk about watching streams of video games, I don't actually watch live streams because keeping up with the schedules of streamers is more than I can be bothered to deal with. But it's, they upload their streams as videos after the fact, and I'll watch those. And those can go on for like 4 or 5 hours sometimes. And I'll usually have them on when I'm doing something, when I'm like painting, drawing, whatever, because that's sort of good content to have on. Video games I'm interested in, a few hours of that. I hear something interesting, I perk up, look to the side, see what's going on, and then go back to my drawing afterwards. That's cool, I'm into that. And then there's I think I've mentioned this before, there's a show called Utopia. It's a British show. The Americans remade it, and they shouldn't have. It fucking stunk. But the British show Utopia, look it up if you haven't, because Jesus fucking wow. I showed Sam when I saw him a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I really want to show you this show. So we found it online, put it on. He bought the first season, and he was really quiet for the first few episodes, and I was like, oh no, the first episode and a bit, he was really quiet watching it, and I was like, oh God, he's not enjoying it, is he? I tried to be like, hey, I think you really like this show, let me show you this show. And then, but then out of nowhere, he turns to me and goes, I am invested. Like he was really, like, that's why he was so quiet, because he was really enjoying the show. I won't get into like what it is, what it's about. There's some comic book art in it, and that's, you know, something. If you like odd, weird comic book art, then, you know, it's got some of that in there. I mean, the whole thing is sort of based on a graphic novel that it's fictional, but, you know, like some crazy guy made a graphic novel, and it's based on conspiracies and especially from the last few years, the whole story of the show has a lot more relevance. Go watch it and find out what I'm talking about. Point is, there was a quite a popular YouTuber made a video talking about this TV show, and he spoke about there's 2 seasons of the show, and then it got cancelled, and then there's an American remake, and he speaks about every episode of season 1 and season 2 and the American remake. Some of them very, very, very in depth, just sort of describing the show and how it's made and why it's good. That's sort of the point of his videos, sort of expressing how fucking good this goddamn show is. And that video of his that he made is like 7.5 hours long or something. It's a long fucking video. And I watched all of it. I happily watched someone talk about a show I absolutely fucking love for 7 hours. Mostly in one sitting. I think I watched it fully in 2 sittings, but it was largely in just the one sitting. I watched most of it in the first sitting. And yeah, I mean, so that's my point ultimately is if someone makes a video that's hours and hours long and it's good, if I'm interested in it, not even if it's good, the video doesn't have to be great, it doesn't have to be amazing quality, it just has to be sort of, you know, something I'm interested in, and I'll fucking watch for hours upon hours upon hours. And so that's yeah, I always feel like, oh, don't go over an hour too much, you know, people are going to want to hang around for hours and hours. But then maybe if I'm interesting enough, which, I mean, that's arguable. Maybe people will want to hang around for hours and hours and watch me draw a thing. Like, maybe I should do a painting. I thought about this, do like a commission or something and work on it from start to finish, from drawing it, maybe like getting the rough done, then light boxing that onto some neater, nicer paper, get the underpainting done, you know, wait a while, talk about some other stuff, and then start painting it and paint the entire thing and record the entirety of the process. The issue there is I would feel like I have to talk the entire time. And it's very difficult. It can be very difficult to talk for an hour, let alone, you know, the hours and hours it can take to produce a full painted commission. So I mean, I've thought about that, and it's something I may do. Just you know, I'll experiment with, at least do it and see if people are into it, and if they're not, cool, I'll do it all the time. Well, I probably won't, because it's just effort more than anything else. But then with regards to like the speaking situation, I think I'll make that known and say, you know, there may be parts of this that are just quiet. Maybe I'll find some royalty-free music, because that's the thing. Although, that said, because I don't make money through my videos, it seems to be all right for the most part using just music. The few times I've used like a copyrighted song in a podcast, I do get a little notification as I'm uploading the video saying, we have detected copyrighted material. Sometimes you then get a little notification saying the person who owns it is well within their rights to use action, so just be aware something could happen with it. I've not had anything happen with it, but I guess I have to be aware that something could happen with it. But then in some cases, for specifically anytime I've used an MF Doom song, I've gotten the notification and it said, we detected copyrighted material. the owner of the copyright allows it to be used on YouTube. I don't know if that means I'd be allowed to use it if I made money on videos or something else, but it seems to be that if I use an MF Doom track in a video, there's, especially because I'm not making money, there's no consequences to that. Which is really, really good. I'm very happy for that. I think that's great. And it could be the case that if I do one of those videos, like a more long form video of getting a full painted commission done, maybe I can intersperse parts of me talking with Doom tracks. And why bloody not? I mean, that's the best fucking guy to ever do it. Mr. Doom. I listen to him a lot when I'm drawing and painting anyway. Or when I'm out walking, going to the post office. When I'm masturbating, put a bit of Doom on. And so, yeah. And that's going to be better than like... Which is basically what every royalty-free piece of music people use in videos sounds like to me. Just like fucking elevator music, just garbage, nonsense, fucking whatever. Just absolute, just drivel. And I understand. Sometimes videos do need something in between like talking and stuff, or sometimes underneath the entirety of a video of someone talking, you have the royalty-free music. But you do need like a buffer. You need just a little something in there other than silence. The royalty-free music makes sense for that. I've noticed as well, a lot of people will use more often than not older video game music, because that always seems to be, I don't know if it's copyright free, but you don't tend to get copyright notices if you use like older video game, like NES and Sega era video game music. So, and I have used some of that before, and it's been just fine. So there is that, which is a bit more interesting than, you know, the libraries of copyright-free music. So there are options, but I think Doom's probably the way to go. Doom's always the way to go, isn't he? God damn. Poor dead fucker. Really, really sucks that he fucking died, man. I mean, he was going to sooner or later. You know. It happens. Sometimes people die. It's sad, isn't it? Well, sometimes it's sad. Sometimes it's a good thing. You know, when certain child molesting pop stars die, it's probably for the best. When certain, child sex ring owners die, it's probably for the best. Maybe it would be better if they died after they were able to leak the list of their clients. But the world's certainly better off without some of those people in it. Just saying. Well, you shouldn't wish death upon anyone, Ewan. That's really hard. Yeah, if they were sex trafficking children, probably better that they are dead. You know, I don't necessarily advocate for the death sentence, but if somebody accidentally dies in prison, maybe it's not the end of the world. There are certain political things I will happily talk about, because there are certain political things that I feel sort of should be talked about. But in general, that's not, my podcast isn't. There are plenty of boring people with podcasts fucking devoted, or just videos in general, devoted to talking about that sort of stuff. And I like to think my podcasts are in some way almost an escape from that, because watching and reading and hearing about too much of that stuff really gets to me. Like, it affects me negatively, very negatively, because I'm of quite a negative mindset in general, and that sort of stuff does not help. So even even making these videos is supposed to be almost like a getaway from that sort of thing, where I'm hopefully I can just sort of ignore it all for a little bit, let it all go away, and then draw Kenny, draw Charmander, draw a bunch of funny orange people, and pretend everything's all right for an hour or so, or maybe 2 hours, or maybe 6 hours. See how long it takes me to do a full painting. I hate when a painting takes me longer than a day. And I mean, I say that some of the paintings I've been doing lately have taken me longer, but because I've been sort of giving myself more time to do them, I've been a bit more relaxed about getting them done. So I haven't been too hard on myself with, taking or getting them done too quickly or whatever. But if a painting takes me long, if like the painting itself, so I can do the drawing and stuff, and that's often how I do things. Sort of these days is I'll do the drawing and the rough and the drawing and get it all ready to paint, get it underpainted on like one day, and then leave it, and then come back to it the next day or a day in the near future to do the rest of it. And then if that rest of it, if that painting takes longer than a day, I get so like I'm just done with it. I just can't be bothered to keep on looking at this goddamn thing, whatever it happens to be, even if it's something that like I'm into, that I have a great love and adoration for. I'm gonna spend days and days painting the goddamn thing. I've been drawing the Thing a lot, this guy, lately. And I've been looking at like pictures of toys of him and stuff. I know, because I said I showed that page of my sketchbook where I was going to do a painting of him, and I still want to do that, but it's just I don't know, I'm really enjoying his sort of shape and colour and such at the moment, and his stone pattern. I've been trying to pay a lot of attention to like how different artists draw his texture, because there are some people, for me, I go to it, and my natural sort of way of approaching his stone skin is to do it more rounded, to do these sort of round shapes and focus on the gaps in between the stones. And I've seen a few other artists do it similarly to that, so which is good. But then I see artists do it more sort of jagged lines and jagged shapes, and that to me looks more like the Thing. And so I'm a little bit sort of like, not torn, but I do think, maybe I should I have my style of how I draw the Thing, or should I just not give a shit? Should I focus on how other people draw it, or should I just redesign it myself? And I mean, any drawing I do of him it's not going to be an official Marvel creation. It's just going to be my own, basically fan art. So it can look however I want it to look. I realised when I drew a few these, I think I did have a post-it note somewhere where I noted the Thing, but pink, because I thought it would be quite cool to do like a really, really cool drawing of the Thing, but make him pink, just because I like pink. I do a lot of work with pink. I want Posca to send me 500 pink, because it could look cool. So I think that's what that was. Those few little drawings there was sort of experimenting, seeing how he'd look pink, and I think I'm into it. I think it would look quite cool if I did a pink Thing. I don't think it would look good necessarily if he was pink in the comics. If they changed it up, how like they've got a grey Hulk and a red Hulk. For whatever reasons, I'm still not sure entirely of what each of those are for. But maybe they could have a pink Thing. That could be something, couldn't it? I mean, it could be. It could not. Also. Oh, poor dead fuck. As dead as MF Doom. Ooh, bad times. Right, let's. We're almost done. I mean, as done as I can be fucked to done do. I want to go back. I did a very, very small amount of like other bits of shading here and there, and I may go back and do a few extra bits of shading here and there on some of these pieces before I'll take photos of them, put them on Instagram, whatever. But once I've gotten all 7 colourful colour pages done, I want to get nice scans of them, put them on Instagram and be like, hey, look, it's a whole it'll do. And I think before I get that done, I fucked his mouth up, but it's all right. I want to maybe spend some time adding a few little bits and pieces, mostly like highlighting and shading and stuff, but add just a little bit of extra texture and whatnot to the drawings, just so that when I post them I feel like they are a little bit more good or whatever. Orange, 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 I made you out of clay. Orange, orange, orange. Sometimes I am gay. Ha 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 ha. Gay's a funny word. Well, it's not really, but hey ho, turd. I've no idea what I'm doing now. I'm just feel like it needs a little bit something more. What I'm doing now is called ruining perfectly good drawing. Well, I say perfectly good. It's an all right drawing. It's not my best work, is it? Oh no, actually, it looks all right. A bit of added texture. It's always because I draw I love characters without necks. I hate drawing fucking necks, which is why Death Fist has his hood, so I can hide his goddamn neck. But then when I give them a body like this, it's always difficult trying to figure out like where to put the shadows, because his head should definitely be casting a shadow on his body, but it's like, where exactly should that shadow fall? That's one of the reasons I was looking at toys of the thing, was for sort of shapes and design ideas, but also lighting, like. Because then that's why certain really good artists will sometimes make their own sculptures of heroes and characters and things to use as references for paintings or whatever. Because then it really gives you a better sense of how light hits them and how shadows work with their physical makeup and whatnot. So I figure something like The Thing, there's a bunch of different kinds of action figures of him out there. So I might pick one up and fucking draw it. And I like drawing toys. I've done some drawings of toys. Got these fellas. Some other stuff. I actually hate the brown shadow now. I think that maybe has ruined it a little bit. Well, not ruined, but I don't know. It just doesn't even look orange anymore, does it? It's brown. Brown's not in my colour circle colour of circles, circle of colours. Is it? Maybe it could be. I don't know. A bit more shadow in this bit. Does he look cross-eyed? He looks a little bit cross-eyed. That wasn't intentional, but meh. Hey! Oh, fat dicks! Oh, shit and piss! Oh, this was a filthy episode. Oh, sorry for the filthy language, but sometimes we all need cunt.